Alright, so this is going to be part 7 to what if Deku had all for one. So with that being said, let's just roll the intro.
They took it to 10. Let me tell you how I come through with the 1-2, kicking shit like kung fu. Treat a bad bitch like she average. I'm a savage, little hoe, what you want do? I'm about cash if the raw fast. I'ma get that little nigga by any means.
Alright, quick thing before we actually start the what if. I would like to say that we're almost at 700 subscribers. We only need like around, I believe around 12 more. So I'd really like to see that happen. And maybe I could do a 700 subscriber special if you guys want. With that being said, last part we ended off with the movie. And this is when we actually get back to UA. Or it's a little bit before. Actually no, it's when they're back into class, and this is when Aizawa is actually telling them that they're going to be going to a summer camp or boot camp kind of, so they could train on their quirks and things like this, right? But before any of this happens, they need to test out the students to see what they learned on their kind of internship. So we have that kind of competition that we have in the anime, where it's against Deku versus Zero, Ashido, and I think Ida, those four. So the way that it would work is that Deku still has not telekinesis. He has the kind of magnet powers. I forgot what they're called. But basically he could like control metal, right? Or not control, but lift it and things like that. But he also has telekinesis as well. And before we get into this, I would also like to say that about the Shinso's quirk. I gave you the chance to kind of tell me how the kind of quirk will evolve, since Stain's quirk and his quirk are very similar in the way that they could immobilize people. So you guys told me that one, that he should be able to control people's body just by consuming their blood, not just paralyzing them, and the other one was he should be able to control them just by hearing a person's voice. And I kind of wanted to add on to this and give it some restriction so it's not too overpowered. So the kind of evolution I gave to this quirk, someone gave me the idea of calling it State of Mind, so that's what I'm going to name it. And basically it could do two more things that it couldn't do before. One is the ability to read minds and go through like memories, and the second is memory manipulation. So what these two can do is that the first one, he could read what the person is thinking, and he can look up to 1 week in that person's past, so he could know everything that that person's known within that week. And the longer that he has control over them, the longer he could go through, but it's a slow process. And the second is the memory manipulation. What this means is that he could either erase memories or plant fake ones, and these kind of last around a week, but they could be prolonged longer if he has control of them longer. But the same way, these could also be negated, at least the memory manipulation, if he finds things that are contradictory to the false memories, or he finds things that remind him of his lost memories. Then this could actually jog his memory and, make him remember what happened to him. But this there has to be a lot of evidence, because the person who gets manipulated is very skeptical for any help and things like that, right? So they would have to still get mind controlled, either from him consuming the blood, them answering a question, or him listening to their voice for at least 10 seconds. And this would have to be like live, like right in front of him. It can't be like a recording or through like a microphone or anything like that, right? Alright, so let's get back into the kind of competition that Midoriya was in. So, what Midoriya or Deku would do in this one would be a little bit different. What he would do is that he would jump as high as he could using his muscular quirk, and then look in the direction that the hostage is in. So, after doing this, he would look where they're at, since his teleportation works on either he has to have been in that place, or he could teleport as far as he could see. So he'd be able to see the hostage would be All Might, and he would just be able to just instantly teleport, right? So he would be the winner of this kind of competition. And All Might would say, like, young Midoriya, if you've learned how to master most of your quirks and have multiple have the use of multiple at the same time, that's very impressive for someone of your age. And Deku would be like, well, thank you, All Might. I'm really glad to hear that, right? So after this would be done, this is actually the point where it's announced to the class that they're actually going to go against the teachers to see if they've improved from their internship. So the only real difference in this one would be that Shinso's also in this, and a lot of people either wanted what's his name, Mineta or the Invisible Girl to be kicked out, and it was kind of the tie. There was like 2 people who voted on each, so I guess it'd be my decision to have either one removed, I guess. So the fight with Midoriya and Bakugo versus All Might will go a little bit different, since All Might is a lot stronger in this one, since he was healed from the regeneration quirk that Deku has. And the relationship between Bakugo and Deku or Midoriya isn't as bad as it was in the anime. The fight is somewhat different. I think they'd be more on the same page, and I think Bakugo would let Deku lead the fight. So it would be in that empty city, and this is when All Might makes his presence known by doing a kind of shockwave across the city, and this would alert them to his position. So what Deku would do is that when All Might was in a certain spot, he would basically teleport up into the sky with Bakugo, right? And this is when he throws Bakugo as hard as he can using his muscular quirk, and this is when Bakugo actually starts spinning and turns this into a howitzer impact using the momentum that Deku had gave him through the throw. I think All Might would be thrown back a bit, but I don't think he'd be done just yet. And as he's trying to recover, this is when Deku would teleport behind him and use a really devastating, punch to the side. And All Might would recoil from the pain, but then this is when he kind of grabs Bakugo because he would be nearby and kind of throws it at Midoriya or Deku, and Deku tries to catch him. And as he's doing this is when All Might comes for a punch and hits Deku straight in the face. It doesn't do much because, or the impact is softened because of the recoil. Not the recoil, the shock absorption that he got from the Nomu. So what Deku does is, as he's closer to All Might, this is when he can't really use most of his AoE kind of abilities, because right now he still has Bakugo in his arms. He kind of jumps back, right, and he drops Bakugo, and he rushes for All Might again. But I don't think All Might would have his restraints that he does in the anime, since he's going against Deku in this fight. So when Deku's right up in his face, right, this is when Deku makes a bunch of fire clones to kind of or swarm All Might, and All Might would take like most of them down. But as he's distracted, this is when Bakugo would hit him with a explosion from him unpinning his like grenade gauntlets, right? And through the smoke, this was when Midoriya or Deku would also use his black lightning to attack All Might. And I think these barrages of attacks would slowly wear him down to the point where he would have to give up. So, what's it called? They win this fight. I believe next would be it would be Shinso takes the spots of the Invisible Girl. So yeah. So it would be the fight against Snipe. So it'd be Shinso and Shoji versus Snipe, all S names. So it would go a little bit different since the Invisible Girl can't go invisible and handcuff him right away. So I think this is when this would be the first time where he would use his new or his fusion of his quirk called State of Mind. And since this entire time Snipe would be talking to the two students, I think eventually he would have enough. He would listen to him enough for him to actually control him, and then this would be when he actually or not really. I guess that couldn't be really an option to do since Snipe would know Shinso's quirk, so he wouldn't really talk much. So either that, or since Shinso has trained a lot more with Aizawa and he has that quirk, he would have to find a way to draw blood from Snipe. So the way that this would work is Snipe would still throw a smoke grenade in the middle of the kind of the hallway. Shinso's like hero equipment would be similar to what he has in canon. If you guys know how that looks, then you understand what I'm saying. But I also think he would have some knives, or at least some needles, so he's able to draw some blood. So I think Shinso would be able to get close to Snipe with the help of Shoji's like distracting him, since his duplo arms can just keep on regenerating. So he would eventually be able to draw blood, and this is when they would capture him, so he wouldn't have to be in that like extra classes that the kids who lose actually have to go through. So this is the point where Aizawa tells the students that in a week or in a few days they're going to go to a summer camp so that they could train, right? And they're like, oh, everyone's like excited because they get to go on a trip. So Kaminari basically says, if we're going on a trip, I guess I should pack I should go buy a swimsuit since I don't really have one. And this gives the class the idea of going to the mall all together and shopping. So they would all go to the same mall and they would split up at that point, right? Saying that they need to each have to get like a different thing. And this is when Jiro and Momo actually go off to get their stuff, and Jiro actually invites Deku to come join him, but Deku says, nah, I'm fine, I gotta go get some weights for this trip, right? Just how he does in the anime. And as he's walking, this hooded figure comes and kind of wraps his arm around him and says, hey, are you the guy from the sports festival? I really enjoyed that. And this person is actually Shigaraki. So this is when he finally reveals himself to be Shigaraki, Deku's shocked, and he can't really get away since Shigaraki has this like finger his like last finger not touching his neck. So if he goes, he would be disintegrated. And after, like, he threatens him, like, after I would kill you, he would also go to the other people around him and also touch them, and they would probably instantly die. So he's saying, how many people can I get before actual pro gets here? So Deku decides to let him, like, hear him talk or hear him out, and this is when he talks about how, why is there such a difference between me and Stain? And then Deku would basically explain that even though what Stain did was wrong, he genuinely believed that he was trying to make a better society through ending false heroes. And this gets like the gears ticking in like Shigaraki's head. So he gets the idea of like, if I could end that one person, then people would just lose hope. And he gets the idea that he has to destroy the symbol of peace, All Might. And with him gone, people won't have that like hope that they have. And he's like, I really enjoyed this talk. And this is when Uraraka comes and kind of interrupts him, like, hey, can you let go of him? And he's like, whoa, I didn't know you were here. I thought you were here alone. Well, I'll see you next time. And this is when Shigaraki kind of disappears within the crowd, and they report this crime or this threat to the police, and they find out the League of Villains leader was here, so they shut down the mall for the day. So yeah. So we would get to the next day, and this is when Mineta and Kaminari convince Aizawa to let them use the pool for strength training or endurance training, with the help of Midoriya being there to kind of convince them. So they get there thinking that they're gonna see the women in bikinis, and they are not alone. This is when Midoriya actually tells them that I invited everyone, including like basically all the guys. And when they see the women, they're not in bikinis, but rather in their school swimsuits, right? So they would do a few exercises in the pool, and after a while they'd get tired, so Ida would be like, well, I brought everyone some drinks, so help yourself, right? And this is when Ida and Deku actually have a talk. And this is when Ida actually explains his how grateful he is for Deku healing his brother, since he gave him that regeneration quirk to heal himself, or heal the what's his name, Tenya? Not Tenya. Ida's brother, that's what I mean. And Deku would be like, no problem, right? He was your brother, and we're friends, we're like really good friends, so it's only natural that I would help you. And this is when Bakugo comes in Kirishima, and they get the idea to race. So they all do their certain, like, their kind of tournament, right, between all the classes, or all the boys in the class, and the girls kind of help with the timing and stuff. So we would get to the last point, where it would be Bakugo versus Todoroki versus Deku. And before they could actually do anything, this is when Aizawa comes up and uses his quirk to nullify theirs. And he says, he basically says that, it's already 5 o'clock, so your time's up and everyone has to leave. So I think I'll end it here. This one's a shorter video for this series, but this is kind of the transitional part to get to the actual training, the training camp arc. So yeah, I'm gonna try to do 2 uploads a day now, to kind of, push out more content, so you guys don't have to wait as long. So with that being said, we're almost at 700 subscribers, so yeah, remember to follow my Twitter. And with that being said, this is gonna be the end of the video, so yeah.